your dwelling, are you poor now?
Edward!
No, we're not poor.
It's what they call a fixer-upper.
Yeah, it's...
I see, a fixer-upper. Yes, once your peasants have dug out a moat and added a turret and a balcony from which you can sing, bathed in the light of a forgiving moon. I see it now.
Okay, and on that note, I'm off.
Where do I even begin with this one? I won't pretend for 1 second that Enchanted was perfect by any stretch, certainly compared to a lot of the animated titles like Tangled and Princess and the Frog, but it was decent enough, and it had a simple plot, it wasn't bloated with subplots, and utilised the cast of characters in the most Disney way possible.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Checks notes, we have Princess looking for talking animal sidekicks, check. Dashing Prince on the prowl for his latest victim, damsel.
My room?
Well, it sounds a lot nicer than dungeon.
An evil witch with vanity issues. Yep, that just about covers it.
Good job.
The switch with this old tale was that firstly we jumped between realities, which was both jarring and refreshing. We had a mix of musical pantomime with fascinating insights into what the real world in this situation actually sees. I do just love seeing some of these background characters though looking confused as fuck.
I usually have 1 foot out of reality, and even I'm freaking out right now.
And our prince, or happy ever after, was a marginal achievement for the average man fantasizing about being interesting to someone this pretty.
I'm so confident now, I can pull things off I never dreamed possible. Look. Aviators. Final boarding call, Beefcake Airways.
It's okay, fellas. If he can do it, so can we. The premise of the movie wasn't exactly a strenuous task for the mind, but it was at least entertaining, if not grating, with how well Amy Adams delivers the "I'm a quirky princess with only one goal, pin a man down and make him mine."
You're not going anywhere.
Enchanted had engaging musical cues, moments that at least snatched a few chuckles from me, and strength with a cast that includes James Marsden, who, let's be honest, is the king of acting against nothing and making it work. I did forget that Idina Menzel was in the original, so to see her pop up in the sequel was slightly confusing for a moment, and then I started to wonder if maybe she's the version of Deadpool for Disney, given the amount of works that she's been included in at this point.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
You consider all these factors that went into the original movie, and then you weigh it up against this. A movie with a stellar cast, in my opinion, for just the antagonists alone, if you can even call them that. That are brilliant at varying levels of comedy outside of this, in the case of Maya Rudolph being included in The Good Place, Yvette Nicole Brown in Community, and Jayma Mays in Glee, where they all had a fairly decent understanding of timing and awkward humour. And once more, you have James Marsden, and you barely use him.
Seriously, you guys? The fuck?
This is one of those instances where I didn't even need a distraction to pull me out of the movie. It was just unbelievably boring. The plot of this movie followed Giselle becoming a new mother and attempting to balance a relationship with Morgan, the little girl from the last movie. After becoming a new mother, however, her and Philip decide to move out to the sticks from the city and take Morgan with them, obviously, but after multiple attempts to assure her that this new life will be exactly what they need, it actually generates more distance between Morgan and Giselle.
You ain't my mother!
So, to reconnect with her and maintain a fairy tale lifestyle that Giselle seemingly longs for now, and to keep people happy, she pulls a Wanda Maximoff by using a magical bullshit wand that was brought into the real world by Marsden and Menzel's characters for Giselle's newborn as a gift. She uses the wand and transforms this reality into her former reality, where everything is happy slappy and more of a visual headache filled with magic.
Oh god.
Two problems with this though. Firstly, Maya Rudolph's character was the queen bee of the town before being pumped full of mystical energy. Now she has access to this, she decides screw it and wants the magical bullshit wand to ensure no one can undo the spell.
And nothing can go wrong! Oh no, it all went wrong!
Although if I'm honest, given how uncomfortable these outfits look, the incessantly chatty animals and frequent array of trolls wandering the land, I don't know why you'd want to stick around in this, but whatever.
You had one job. Just the one?
The second problem remains a little more personal to Giselle, in that attempting this act and succeeding, however brief it was, she steadily starts to fill the position of a golem-like, evil stepmother for the majority of the movie, even acting on the trope's tendencies to betray the daughter figure and do something absurd to her, but, in this case, actually kinda saves her, due to the fact that Giselle is battling with interchanging personalities at this moment.
But they're my friends.
I'm your only friend.
No.
She pushes Morgan into the backyard well that connects both realities together, and recruits Menzel's character to try and undo this, with an unbelievably contrived subplot that seeks to undo the evil stepmother side to Giselle now, but actually just feels like a complete waste of time. Anyway, after a needless array of soulless, paint-by-numbers musical set pieces and lazily written sequences with dialogue that make the room look believable,
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
we conclude the journey with Giselle realizing her shortcomings, being reunited with her true self, and thanks to the power of memory. Ironic, given how much I want to forget this movie, she seemingly then dies for a brief moment as the magic fades around her after it's been drained into the real world. Morgan seems to suddenly have gained the powers of Thor in this moment and undoes everything, reversing the effects of Giselle's wish and restoring both realities, and reconstructing the wand that was broken just seconds ago. And, might I just point out, she managed to do this after being told that only a true child of the cartoon reality could operate the wand, but somehow, like Thor being able to share his powers with the children suddenly, Morgan can just use magic now. And then they all live happily ever after.
The end!
Jesus wept. This movie is undeniably frustrating. Its attempts to balance anything even remotely insightful or thought-provoking are undone by the many, many contrivances throughout the movie. Like, how can Morgan suddenly use magic? How can magic work in this world to begin with? Though that's a question that probably should have been asked for the first movie.
Whoa! That's interesting, but I sure don't care!
Fuck me, even the '03 Ninja Turtles series tried to link the use of magic to ley lines around the planet to offer up some substance of thought. And the other question I have is, how can Giselle and the husband afford this house on just his salary alone?
I don't know.
All dumb questions for sure, but so's this movie. The attempts at subversion to the norm, the fourth wall commentary, the inside jokes of archetypes within the traditional fairy tale storytelling, and lackluster musical set pieces make this movie both frustrating and forgettable. The writers think they're being clever with this film, with camera winks and coinky dinks, but actually they're just demonstrating how lazy they've become. Like I mentioned, Enchanted was far from challenging to understand, but at least it gave our protagonists a purpose, setup, and payoff, and even motivations that for an outlandish movie such as this felt more realistic than half the bollocks we got in this one. The energy of this movie was non-existent, the actors and actresses felt bored and disinterested, the dialogue didn't carry any semblance of meaning, and the musical entries for this one felt forced and hollow. With shameless additions of Disney characters within the text that implies we're paying witness to a growing Disney multiverse, based on the self-indulgent scenes we also witnessed earlier this year in the Pinocchio movie.
Where does that expression come from? It doesn't make any sense.
Make it stop!
God, can that one please just die in a fucking hole. This is one of those instances where they should have just left the story as a standalone feature. The problem now is that Disney are failing to come up with anything original or unique, so they're digging into the well with pathetic attempts at reboots, remakes, and needless continuations, trying to capitalise on the nostalgia audiences might have had for what came before it. I truly wish that Disney would just stop with these thoughtless injections of modern day nostalgia for the simple fact that it's barely done right and just feels insulting to what came before it and what was done infinitely better. This sentiment extends to titles that have come out in recent years, as I just don't feel the continuation or reboot was needed. In the case of Frozen, Inside Out, Moana, Pinocchio and Jungle Book, to name a few. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Unfortunately, any nostalgia I had for Enchanted, which was none, but if I did, would have been undone by this movie. I sadly cannot recommend this movie. It does a terrible job of balancing anything coherently. Its pacing is all over the place, the character motivations are ridiculous and at times unexplained, development feels almost secondary, and the musical cues should generally be memorable like Let It Go and Bare Necessities, but simply becomes part of the background noise in this case, with little intentional heart behind them. I wanted to enjoy this movie, but sadly everything involved with it and what I've explained and how it made me feel and how disconnected it feels from itself just removes any enjoyment or any possibility of happiness with it. I didn't wish to be so negative on this one, as I really did try to find positives in it, but there was very little. Even the CGI looked a bit shaky at times. But unfortunately, this is where we're at in current day cinema, particularly from Disney. So why should we expect any less, or any better for that matter? That's going to do it from me though, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button as it helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.